Good afternoon, everyone. It's another exciting edition of Rogue Money Radio, and it's V and CJ. We're back together, and we have a special guest today. It's a Bo Polny, and Bo is here. He's no stranger to these channels. He's someone who is experienced. He's an experienced student of the cycles and specialties in the analysis of gold, silver, and world stock market cycles. He has successfully predicted the 2011 $1,900 gold, as well as the $49 silver cycle tops, China's April 2015 stock market top, and the United States July 20th, 2015 stock market exact tops. Owner of gold, he's misspelled this. Bo Pony's 2020 gold forecast. With that being said, it's none other than Bo. How are you, sir?
Hi, V. Thanks for having me on, and looking forward to chatting with you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to have you on, man. A lot of things going on. I mean, where do we begin? It's the roller coaster. And I think people need to understand it's we are trying to make, and someone like Bo is trying to make sense of the most chaotic market in human history, which is not an easy task to do. I mean, let's be honest here, right?
Yes, I would agree with especially V, when it comes to the stock market. The stock market has just been absolutely insane, and I would fully agree with you on that. However, when it comes to gold and silver, believe it or not, it's actually predictable. So wow. That's where where I stand on it, and we can chat about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Go for it. I mean, what have you discovered? And for those that don't know you, you could give a little bit of background of yourself and how you came about this amazing way to track gold and silver and the world stock market tops and all that.
Well, it all comes down to, you can either predict things or you can't. What that means is, there's either cycles or there's no cycles. Yeah. And if there's a cycle, what that basically implies is that you can predict the future, because if you know a cycle, then if you know what cycle currently our world is sitting in, or where we are within a historic cycle, then you can forecast or predict which direction, either up or down, something is supposed to go. So that's right. The best way to describe what a cycle is. And so it drives many people, insane, because basically what a cycle in essence it says is that the future is foretold, and you can't and we live in this world that basically is already all predetermined, and that's really what is happening. You can't deny the facts that when gold goes up, and when is in 2011. When silver topped at $49, and we could calculate the day of when the top came in, and then we did the same exact thing when $1,900 gold came in. You can't take that. I don't think there's anybody in the world. Some people, analysts out there, can say, "Well, hey, we called the top at 1,900." Yeah, but did you call it to within a week, a day, or to the month? There's a big difference in that, And in our past videos, we actually showed what calculation we used. It was actually 1,267 trading days from prior tops. We used them both for gold and silver, and we nailed the exact day for $49 silver, and then $1,923 for gold. And that was in the year 2011. Since then, we've had nothing but a massive down cycle, and it's been nothing but complete and extreme price manipulation. But we did an interview with Future Money Trends in December 3rd of 2015. We scheduled the interview 2 weeks in advance because we knew that was going to be a cycle low, and we forecast the exact day, and it was $1,024 or $1,045 for gold, and that was on December 3rd of 2015. So again, tops, bottoms. So cycle highs and lows are actually not hard to calculate. No, they're not easy, but they are much more not as challenging to calculate versus comparing trying to mid cycles, which we're in now. And then even in December of last year, there's analysts that go out, and I think you know who they are, but they keep going out there saying $1,000. I just did a post, on Silver Doctor saying, there's these analysts that keep calling for $1,000 gold, and they've been wrong for 3 years straight. They've not been right. You know, they have not been right. And let me tell you, they will never be right. Anyone calling for gold under 1,000 is going to be completely wrong. And very soon they're going to be proven completely wrong. But it's never going to happen. In fact, we're in a massive upcycle. And again, these analysts, they came out. What did they do in December of last year, V? What were these guys saying? Gold under 1,000 again. The moment the gold starts going down, these guys come out. They're fear mongers. They keep scaring everybody. Gold's going to go under 1,000. One guy's calling for $700.
Yeah, $750.
And then the extreme was 250. Like, really? You know. Yeah. So, but see, but for that, it's never going to. And when that happened again in last December, we made a video. Go to our YouTube channel. You know, Gold 2020 YouTube channel. There's a video titled "The Trap Is Set." What do? The Fed spoke on the 15th, or the 14th of December of 2016, and on the next day, gold dropped to $1,124. On that evening, we put it together a video which was uploaded on the 16th of December of 2016, which was just about 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we said gold will not go lower than 1124 because the time expired on that date. And look at the price today. It's just around 1240. So we nailed the day to the exact day again. So that's the fourth perfect gold call. Now, I'm not trying to say that, you know, we never make mistakes. Trust me, we make a lot of mistakes, okay? Right. But when it comes to gold and silver, the analysis is incredibly fun to do because you can call it, especially significant highs and significant lows. And, you know, so, you know, there are four verifiable perfect to the day forecasts, which I don't think there's one analyst in the world that can say that they've done that. You know, so I know there's a lot of people that say, oh, they've made a bunch of mistakes. Yeah, especially when it comes to the stock market. Oh my God, when you can print money to infinity, you don't think the stock market can go to 20,000? See, that's the problem. Is the stock market has been you can't play with a price with, say, the dollar as much, even though you can. But see, the United States dollar and gold, for example, right? They are traded where? Across the whole world. Right? So even though you can manipulate the price, you can't, the cycles are going to hold. And the reason they're going to hold is because the cycle goes across the entire world. And so, you know, every time you jack up the price of the dollar, you know, the dollar is pegged to every other world currency. They're paired, right? So you can't play with the dollar price to an extreme as you can the U.S. markets, because the U.S. markets are not paired to anything, right? Correct. So it's like if you're baking a cake at home, you can put whatever you want in the cake, especially if you can have as much flour as you want. So that's what the U.S. market is. It's the last thing standing that they can actually control to an extreme measure. Right. And so the last thing that they can actually pump everything into and make you know, Disneyland look like everything is just fine. What is it? It's the U.S. stock market. That's why it's over 20,000. But basically, all heck's about to break loose. It doesn't matter the price anymore. The problem is the dollar and the bonds. Those things have been sold across the whole world, and you can't manipulate those forever because that's going to come home to roost. And that's kind of where we're headed right now. So it's pretty exciting times where we're sitting right now, V.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What do you think it is with most of these forecasters who get the price of gold wrong every single time? I mean, I saw the same thing. I mean, guys out there talking about $750 an ounce gold, and I had to scoff at that. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Absolutely not. Never in a billion years. And if you know, it's not going to happen. What is it about these guys that they get it wrong? What's so wrong about their calculations that so many people wind up following them and listening to them?
You know, either they're doing it intentionally. Yeah. Or unintentionally. First, you have to ask yourself that question. Are they doing it intentionally or unintentionally? Because if it's intentionally, well, you know, there's the obvious answer to that. If it's unintentionally, then basically they're missing something within their analysis. And that's the best way I can tell you. But, you know, I've looked at the gold patterns, and it's an impossibility to have low prices anymore. It was possible to take gold under 1,000, but that would have to have been roughly 3.5 to 4 years from the high. So that would have been 2011, so 12, 13, 14, 15. So you would have had a low under 1,000 in the year 2015. So that's when gold went to $1,045. If it was to break 1,000, it would have had to been in the month of December of 2015. But that's it. See, so now all that happened, and I don't know if if some of the traders are out there, but from a technical standpoint, from a trading perspective, if you look at a low on gold, and then you have a higher low, which is basically $70 higher a year later, because that's what happened in December of 2016, from $1,045 to $1,124. That's roughly a $70 higher low. That's a bull trend. Okay, that's bullish. And all it does, it's a retrace to come back before all heck breaks loose. But why these analysts say it, crazy prices like that? Well, for gold to go to $700 of the US dollar, everybody in the whole world just absolutely loved the US dollar. And even if that was the case, gold's still going to go up. So it doesn't matter. But I don't know why they would say that. But looking at this pattern analysis cycles going back to the year 2000, going back to the year 1970, it's an impossibility. It's an absolute impossibility. So for them to be saying that, it's either they're doing it intentionally or unintentionally, and that's simply because they have no clue of the massive long-term patterns on gold. Because you see, if you look at actually, I can add this. The patterns, that financial patterns that we're looking at, from 1764, that was the Currency Act that came out of London, which was forced upon the colonies of the U.S. So that's when they introduced paper at an interest. Okay, interest rate. So 200, and these are massive Bible cycles going back 252 years, going back to the fall of Rome. That cycle comes into play as well too. It starts with the birth of Jesus, but basically every 252 years there's a massive shift. Okay, and so the last shift was in 1764. 252 years later, you arrived at December of you would arrive at 2016, and the furthest you could take it would be December. Okay. And at that time, I made the video titled "The Trap is Set." And what did I say in there? The gold made its final low, and the dollar made its final high. And to this day, as we speak here, I'm 100% right. At that time, the dollar topped out at 103.5, and gold bottomed at 11.24. And so all I know is that the Currency Act, the monetary system, the financial system as you know it, ended last year. But to see a massive transfer of wealth, that's what's about to happen, is a huge shift, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. But it's, if you're not prepared for it, you're just going to completely miss out. And actually, unfortunately, when you miss out, you're going to put yourself and your family in a problem, because if there's a shift of wealth like that, the dollar falls, gold explodes. How are you going to buy gold when a price just doubled and the dollar just dropped by a massive percentage? So it's going to be scary if you have not prepared for it.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. It's and plus a lot of these individuals that say gold's going to drop below 1,000, gold is going to be worthless, this, that, and the other. These are fools who are just forecasting in a bubble. They're just speaking into an echo chamber, and they're not aware of what's going on internationally. They're not aware of how integral gold is to this new coming economic reality.
Well, maybe they are, but their cycle analysis doesn't go back more than 250 years. See, that's the problem. If your analysis doesn't account for financial shifts every 252 years, and let's say your model only accounts for the past 100 years, well, you're going to be wrong. See, so your model has to go back thousands of years to be able to account for massive shifts. And that's really what this is no matter how you look at patterns or analysis. If I was only looking at the past 100 years, I'd be wrong. So you have to go back that far to see what's about to happen. And then I look at my monthly gold chart, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with gold starting at $250 in the year 2000. There is nothing wrong with gold going up to $1,900 in the year 2011.
Yeah.
And there's been nothing wrong with gold falling for, say, 6 years presently. There's nothing wrong with that pattern because gold is in a bull market. And, you know, there's all that has to happen is a massive price shift, a transfer of wealth, and gold will go back to where it needs to be. And that's over $2,000 to $3,000. Well, actually, the first target is going to be $2,000 to $3,000 minimum, like just minimum $2,000 gold, easy. And that's in the next few months. Okay, so that's what's about to happen. So, and then it's going to go higher and higher because then the bull trend is going to take over and it's going to keep going. So all they've done is taken derivative contracts and printed the heck out of it, trying to suppress the price. That's all it is. It's a price suppression, price controls. But, you know, it's just like, you can look at any game you play, anything you've ever done in life, everything comes to an end.
Right.
So you can't play a game forever. You can't manipulate. You can't keep doing something forever. A thing that's going to go on forever. It just doesn't. And so that's kind of where we're at. We're at a point of a massive shift right now. And since Trump's gotten in office, fasten your seatbelts for what's about be unraveled here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a big lover of gold, that's for sure. The first thing he did is change the White House curtains from that crimson that Obama had, and he put in gold curtains.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then I've got my kids telling me, on YouTube they got like video channels of he's selling his jet. Apparently, do you know that every single metal surface in his jet that he's selling was gold plated?
Wow.
Single metal surface on Trump's jet, which is now he's selling because now he has Air Force One, but he's selling his private jet. Every single metal surface was gold plated.
Jeez, come on, and same thing with his house too, man.
Good. Yeah, that's
well,
cool.
APMEX rents from him. APMEX in New York rents a building from him as their headquarters. They pay their rent, but with bars of gold. That's how Trump.
Really?
That's how he gets his payment. APMEX pays Trump in bars of gold. That's American Precious Metals Exchange. They pay their rent in gold to Trump. That's how much Trump loves gold.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
And I believe you. I love it. I think it's just, if people don't think gold's about to take a moonshot with Trump in office, they have no clue. So if people calling for $700 gold, they're going to be, unfortunately, it's funny to laugh about, but the problem is that people listen to these people, So I might be wrong in saying I got a gold maybe went down or went up, and it didn't happen to the day that I thought it would. Okay, that's making that's a mistake. That's a glitch. That's not steering people in the wrong direction. Okay, steering people in the wrong direction, saying don't buy gold because it's going to go to $200 an ounce or $700. That's completely steering people in the wrong direction, giving people bad information, and actually financially hurting people.
Yeah,
that is so wrong. It's to say gold's going to explode this week and it happens next week. Does that change anything? No. Because what's my whole persona has been buy gold, especially by silver. But the point is that it's never going to come down because it bottomed December at $1,045. It's never coming down. It's never going to be lower than that ever again. And when and it's still cheap right now at $1,200, $1,240. This is a fire sale right now at $1,240. And talk about silver, it probably costs $15 to get it out of the ground, and they're selling it right now for what, $17 or $18. It's just like, talk about getting something for almost free.
But I got a question for you. There's a lot of discussion in regards to the fact that the United States has already defaulted on its debt. You don't see a whole lot of discussions anymore regarding raising the debt ceiling. People speculate that China called in the U.S. debt in terms of J.P. Morgan selling off their headquarters there in New York to China for pennies on the dollar. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, we see the Fed, they're printing trillions of dollars each month to keep these markets rigged, to keep things going. I know in the Shemitah you talk about a natural reset, all debts called in, or a natural reset. What does that look like, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, see, here's the thing. If you don't get the Shemitah, you're still going to get the Jubilees. Shemitah would have been a crash. Well, we didn't get that. We still might get the crash. But remember, these people can print money to infinity. So the stock market may not crash even though there's still potential of something happening here the next few months on the markets, okay? But the Jubilee is basically when you have the monetary system shift such that if people are in gold and silver, right?
Yeah.
It's going to go up so much that it's going to be mind-boggling. And then you can take your precious metals and pay off any of your assets that are debt-based for pennies on the dollar. Okay, so that will be the Jubilee. It's a transfer of wealth of people who, you know, if silver goes to several $100s, which it will, okay, it's going to go to 3 digits, and then it's first going to go, you know, 100, then to go 200, but it's going to do massive moves like that. Now, when you have silver that you bought at say $20 and it's at 200, that's a 10-fold increase. So you can then go pay off any financial debts you had at basically 10 cents on the dollar. Okay, so that's a shift. That's a Jubilee. So, and however else it plays out, we'll have to see, because again, cycles, they're patterns on a piece of paper, and I know how to analyze them. There's nothing related to events. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know, like if you ask, how is the Fed going to tie into this? I truly don't know, but I can tell you that looking at the financial patterns on the monthly gold cycle, you know, where this month, February, even though today we're at the 17th, okay, before, mark my words, before this month of February's over, gold will minimum do a $100 move from where it is right now. Okay, minimum. Okay, now it could do more, but it's minimum. But we're going to have a minimum $100 move in gold this month of February yet. Now it could be double that, could be 200 yet. But again, the minimum I'm looking for, and this could be even in 1 day or 2 days, we have a $100 gold move. So the question is, what happened on that date when gold moved $100? See, I don't know, but my patterns are telling me that there's going to be at least a minimum $100 gold move. So if that happened, my question is, what happened? Right? And so on that day, we can look back and see what did happen. Right? And so, but that $100 move, what it does is, like to your question about the Fed, it puts a crack in the dam. You see what I'm saying? That puts a crack in the system, but a big crack, like a big problem. Right. Yeah. And so, because it's not going to come down again. Yeah. Right. And then there's going to be another crack. And that comes either the next few weeks or the next month. And then the dam just blows up. Okay. Right. So everything comes unglued. So that's where there's going to be 3 steps to this. And the last step is where gold's going to make a $400 to $500 move. Going to go straight over $2,000. Okay. Wow. And that will be before the summer here in the U.S. and, you know, so in the U.S. So basically between now and say May into June. Okay. There is a time point that I have, but I just, you know, I give it to my subscribers. I don't want to give it too much, but I'm telling you right now that between now and summer, gold is going to do a $400 to $500 move, taking it to over $2,000. And so the question that I have to you is, well, what just happened to make that happen?
Well, I was going to say, you know, a couple of things. If you look at what Trump has tweeted out and his impact on different industries, you know, with Boeing, for example, you saw where he'd questioned the price of Air Force One. You witnessed it when he started talking about the price of pharmaceuticals, where these stocks would literally tank based upon one tweet from Trump. I can think of one example, and I've seen this in other videos from other people that are talking about it, would be in the event that Trump would actually call for and order an actual audit of the United States gold vaults.
Ooh, yeah.
And you may be surprised, but that might be going on right now. You know, so you don't know. None of us know the real truth of what's going on. But I can tell you that there is going to be a crack in the financial system this month. Okay, and it may not be. It'll be monetary related to the dollar and probably obviously gold, because gold's going to jump up, you know, in the $100 range. So what happened to cause that will be question number 1. Then gold jumps again another $100. The question is, what happened on that event? Yeah. Okay. And then once gold takes out $1,500, it's going straight to over $2,000. So my question would be, well, what happened there? Okay. But I can tell you the system just came unglued when that happens. So by the summer here in the U.S., you're going to be able to look back and say, and everyone's going to be going, well, wait, what just happened? And that's where we're going to be sitting in a very few months from now. It's going to be and the people who are positioned for this, you know, they're not going to be in a stressful situation because financially, you know, if you bought gold and especially silver, because if gold doubles, silver is going to go triple to quadruple.
Yeah.
So, you know, for silver, just to double would put it to $35, which is still like dirt cheap, right? But if gold doubles at a ratio right now, I think 70-1. So for every ounce of silver gold that is mined, in theory, they're supposed to be mining 70 ounces of silver, but we know the truth is 10 ounces. It's a 10-1 ratio. So you know that you know, if silver got to a 30-1 ratio, that would put silver at a multiple of 4 to gold. So right now it's 70-1, which means that if gold went to over 2,000, silver would be at 30, but that's not going to happen. Silver would at least at that time be $45 to $60, probably closer to $60 if gold doubled.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, another thing that most people are not aware of, Bo, is that, you know, the Shanghai gold price fix, which is right now completely different from the COMEX and the LBMA in terms of the pricing. They're pricing much higher, and that is creating an arbitrage that many people are utilizing to leverage in order to really make a killing. The fact of the matter is the Shanghai price fix is it's a real physical exchange where there's a contract out for 1 ounce. There's 1 ounce of gold there, versus the fictitious paper scheme that's being running in the COMEX. I mean, how dangerous are we now to like a force majeure happening in the COMEX? It's been talked about for so long. I mean, I think we're at the precipice, and then we see the issues and the fissuring in the bond market. There's a lot of black swans out there, Bo.
Oh yeah, that's again, when I look, to me, the most important thing that I look at every day is a monthly gold cycle. Okay, and it remains steadfast like a rock. Okay, it is unbroken, and it doesn't matter who wants to say anything about, you know, the gold analysis that we're speaking of here. If they are not on board with these massive moves in the very near future, they will be proven incorrect. There's going to be a very, very large shift here. So if it happens, you know, you got to imagine the bonds, the dollar, all getting smashed. You know, there's going to be a very, very large issue with the bonds and the dollar, and that's going to cause that arbitrage that you're talking about. Because basically, if silver were to go to, you know, to 20 or 20 something, $22 or $23, these patterns, what happens is on the gold chart and on the silver chart, they become exponential moves. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that makes any sense, but when you take out $22 on silver, on the monthly silver chart, what happens is massive price jumps.
Right. So
if you take out 1,400 on gold, then what you're looking at afterwards are exponential vertical moves on gold, just like you'd see on silver. So these are not going to be $10 moves. They're going to be multi-$100 moves on gold, dollar moves on silver. And, you know, and we've been watching silver, you know, hover in the 18 to, you know, so between 17 and $20 for a year and a half. We're just going to move $20 in a week or in a day, you know, before summer of this year.
Wow.
So the arbitrage is going to, I think what you're saying, from what I'm gathering, is like, or the best way to describe that is the mechanisms that hold the price here. That's the manipulated system, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And gold at 2,000 is back to where it's supposed to be, but that's now in the Shanghai system. Get it? So it shifts. So that's how I would look at it. It's a financial shift from this system of a manipulated price to a new true price of over 2,000 on gold in the Shanghai system. And as this system, as you know it, comes to an end. So because I don't know how they could hold the system together here, the gold system here, the COMEX, and how they can hold the system together if gold's at $2,000. You know, that's the question now that just doesn't make any sense, but the patterns say it's coming. So there's going to have to be for us some form of a shift that's going to happen very quickly between the U.S. and the East and the Orient. So it's going to be a dramatic, quick shift, and it happens all before summer.
That's paradigm altering.
I completely, I agree in terms of the cycles and what we're witnessing. And I think part of the story that needs to be involved with that, Bo, is also what we're seeing in the Middle East in regards to what the Saudis and Iran is doing with the oil, where they're starting to diversify away from the petrodollar. And in the event that there's a move to state, let's say, for example, China states, for example, that listen, we're going to be backing our currency by gold reserves, and the entire oil, the petrodollar, is wiped out overnight, and we're moved more to a currency-backed system of gold versus paper. That would alone in itself send gold through the roof in terms of the pricing.
Well, sure, right? So there is the event that, so I look at it from a chart standpoint. What would cause gold to go $400 to $500, overnight or in a week's period of time? Say, like in a very small window of time, in 3, 4, 5 days, and something like that, gold to move $400 to $500 to over $2,000. So go from $1,500 straight to over $2,000. For that event to occur, you would have to have something happen like you just described. You see, so now you have to think of, what could happen, and again, why couldn't something like that happen? It's not going to happen still in February. Okay, that's a little early, but it's coming very, very shortly. And so just know that when you start seeing $1,400 on gold, we're getting very close.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's and another aspect of it too that we're seeing is that in regards to the actual the metals, is that the silver, in terms of the COMEX and the recent shortages in terms of the amount of paperback that are out there right now versus the physical on demand, and what could be said about gold. So how many gold certificates are out there versus the actual supply, and when they start to call in some of those, what's going to happen at that point?
Well, think about this, right? If I owned a property and I sold that property to 500 people, right?
Yeah.
So now 500 people believe they own this house that I just sold them, right? So how's that go down? So for every ounce of silver, for every ounce of gold, 500 people on paper believe they own it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly right.
So who's gonna be the winner on that equation? The winner is the guy that actually holds silver and holds gold, because who cares how many people believe they own it? So if they bought paper contracts, right? Well, they end up owning paper. So that's why you can't be if you're trading gold and silver to make money. Okay, every time a profit's made, you should immediately buy physical. Okay, you can't to be putting all of your money in paper assets, like as these contracts like SLV and GLD. What happens if one day you wake up and you find out that gold just jumped $500, but GLD went to zero? Because everybody found out, everybody who had the GLD wanted it, and then so my point is that if you don't have physical silver and you don't have the physical gold in your possession, and that word is key, then you really don't own it. All you own is paper that 499 other people think they own. So if you believe that you should have some gold and silver for yourself or your family, what that means is you should be holding physical gold and silver.
Correct. Absolutely right.
No, I completely get it in terms of just think about it in the event that there is a situation that happens where the dollar does collapse in terms of the metals. Would you rather eat, not necessarily from an investment standpoint, but just from a standpoint of survival?
Well, look what happened. Look what happened in Zimbabwe, right? Or look what happened in Greece or these other countries where they wake up overnight. What was the most recent ones? Was it Zimbabwe, or which was
Venezuela.
The one? Venezuela. Overnight, the $500 notes are worth nothing, or whatever it was. Or the
India.
India. Oh, that's what it was. Now imagine if these people
worth nothing.
Yeah, Worth nothing. Now imagine if these people instead own gold. Would they care that the 500 notes are worth nothing? No, because their gold is worth $3,000 an ounce.
Right.
That's what just happened in India, right? So so if you had even 10, 20% of your net worth in gold and the 500 notes go to zero, why do you care? Because now your gold, if that type of event just happened, your gold just went up a factor of 5 or 10. Okay, that's what just happened to your gold. So you never lost anything. If anything, at the end of the day, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, absolutely correct. I think people don't realize, look, a hard asset, like a real precious metal, and gold is money, folks. Gold and silver is money. Everything else is just it's debt. Everything else is just debt. And debt, like, you know, a legal tender like fiat currency can be worth zero. It can be worth even less than zero. But you're not going to reset to zero on a hard, physical, precious commodity like gold. It's just not going to happen, and people need to understand that. It's unreal.
No,
no, go ahead, Bo. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I'm not just going to add saying that's exactly right. You know, it's just like if it's so funny, but you know, just these cycles are they're multi-generational cycles going back 252 years. Divide that by 70 years. You know, for a person's life, how many generations is that, right? So you have all these families, these generational families believing in paper assets, right? And then one day it changes. You know, the problem is that not one person in the world, you know, if people don't talk about gold, because they're not interested in it. And so who talks about gold? Probably 1% of the population. You know, really, if you think about how few people talk about gold or silver, it's because they live in La La Land. They live in Disneyland, you know, and they basically believe that, they keep looking at their bank accounts and they see all these zeros in their bank accounts and they think they actually have money, you know. But, you know, this the same example is go look at these other countries that we wake up and next thing you know, the dollar, you know, their currency it gets chopped, right? And so is it happen intentionally? I don't think it happens intentionally, but it's going to happen because a gold chart is saying it's coming very, very soon. But I think it's going to happen simply because it's time. You can't. The game is up, and that's it. Once the game is up, you can't keep extending this forever. And you know, with all the changes that are now about to happen, it's just, you know, it's people are about to have a massive financial shift. And if you're in gold, if you're in silver, you won't feel. I don't think you're going to feel the pain. But if you own, but the problem is that 99 to 98% of people that don't own any gold. You know, it's really sad. What's going to come to them.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. You know, I work, you know, in the financial industry. I remember the 08, you know, crash when people lost, you know, their entire retirement funds, and I remember hearing the financial advisors in the industry saying, well, no, come in and look, you know, this is what's happened, and you know, they were very upset at that time. But I think that we can all agree, regardless, in terms of, it's going to sound like the scapegoat answer in terms of just simply stating diversify, but I think everyone really has to take a customized approach towards their retirement and do what's right for them. You know, what works for one person. There was an interesting video that I saw. I wish I'll have to go back and find it again. But this gentleman went about, you know, obviously he's playing over metals, and I'm not smashing Bitcoin at all. But he went to some farmers markets, and he went in to pay, and he did like 2 or 3 in the city they lived, and he went to pay for the farmers market with his Bitcoin, and the person was ringing him up was like, "What's Bitcoin? You know, what's that?" And then he broke out his paper wallet and said, "Well, I can show you. This is it." And they're like, that doesn't mean anything to me. But then at the same token of that, he broke out some silver, you know, Eagle coins and said, well, I also have these. And then they're like, well, how much is it worth? So again, I'm not smashing Bitcoin. I definitely understand it as far as utility, you know, the importance of it. But I think it's important for each individual person to do their own research, to do what's right for you and your family. But we can all agree that being involved in paper assets and having, you know, $100,000 in a savings account in a bank, that's high risk right now. That's putting a lot of money at risk.
Yeah. No,
exactly correct. And the thing is that, you know, I mentioned Bitcoin to one of my friends. Most people have no clue what it is. You know, for a while, I've kind of stayed out of Bitcoin, but then but 2 months, 3 months ago, I decided to look at the cycles on Bitcoin. And believe it or not, Bitcoin cycles were easier to time calculate than silver or gold. And the reason it was easier because they're less controlled. So they can't control silver, Bitcoin as much as they can control silver and gold. So the patterns and the time fractals that I was looking at, they were so much easier to see on Bitcoin than they were on gold and silver. But the point is, Bitcoin, just from a price perspective, if gold and silver are about to take a big leap, well, so is Bitcoin, okay? So because remember, Bitcoin, gold, and silver, they're all basically, you can look at them as commodities. It's just Bitcoin is the least controlled of the three. And so Bitcoin moves first. And so you'll notice Bitcoin's already over 1,000. It's going to be over 1,100, the next few days here. And it's just going to take off, a few $100 move here. And this is going to be, but the point is, people don't understand what Bitcoin is. They don't know what gold and silver is. Because if you look at it, you can take an ounce of silver to a store and give it to a guy, and he won't know what it's worth. If it was worth $100, he wouldn't know. People, because no one for generations now has been using gold and silver as money, right? So they don't know what it's worth. Forget about Bitcoin, because that's like a whole other level. But if you go to a store and you give the guy an ounce of silver for a carton of milk, the carton of milk is a few bucks, and if you give him, he'd actually make money on that deal, but he wouldn't take it because he doesn't know what it's worth. And there's videos out there of guys willing to offer somebody a 100-ounce block of silver
versus a chocolate bar.
For a chocolate bar,
Mark Dice.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my kids show me that stuff all the time, and we just like laugh because it's like actually fun. And the guy's standing in front of a coin dealer, so they can actually go into the coin dealer and verify that it's pure silver. And
they take the chocolate bar. I want the chocolate bar.
I'll take the chocolate bar. And that just shows it's also California, which doesn't help.
Yeah. A little too much sun. Oh my God! But it's really sad because they have no clue. No clue because of why 4 or 5 generations have gone by, and people have just gotten accustomed to paper. That's it. That's the truth of reality, And so the people that run the world, they know what gold and silver is, And when the price explosion happens, trust me, they're not going to be on the wrong side of the trade on that one. They'll definitely be sitting on the right side of the train.
They're the ones telling you don't buy. Meanwhile, they're buying it all up.
Well, exactly. Thus $700 gold.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. But we got about 5 minutes, man. Why don't you say what you think your predictions are for the next few months, and then plug your website as well as your subscription and your social media.
So for next few, basically, I think I've chatted this, to you next few months. This is February the 17th today. So before month end, don't be surprised if you see $100 move in gold. Okay. Probably that should be bare minimum, probably double, could be double that. Okay. So we're looking for a minimum $100 move in gold this month. Next month, another $100 move, if not more. Okay.
Yeah.
And then once you see $1,400 hit, you better make sure you've got your gold and silver, because the next move, when 1,500 breaks, it's straight to 2,000, and that's all happened. I don't want to give the month. Well, let's just say it's not going to be this month. The chance of it being in May and June is extremely high. And if people want more, like there's 3 specific time points that we have that are really important. We offer those. Those are included in our what's called our gold index. I think anybody interested in gold, I think you need to have the gold index. The stuff that I put in there, I think, is really cool. It ties into a lot of different aspects of what's going on in our world. I think you're really going to like the gold index. We have a trading service. And hardly anybody needs that, and unless you're a big time trader with you have $1 million account. We do have quite a few people that are a handful of people that do our trading service, but these are multi-millionaires, or people with big accounts, and to them it's really important to get the day price action on silver and gold, and in the stock market, that's not been fun to because with all the money printed. But my God, since the pattern analysis on gold, to be able to call the exact bottom last year, and we've had the exact patterns all of January, now all of February, we've had the pattern of the day cycles. It's been extremely fun to watch. And now it's going to get really exciting very, very soon here. My website is Gold 2020 Forecast. My YouTube channel is, again, Gold 2020 Forecast. And on that YouTube channel, go check out the video. The video is titled what did we talk about that video? It's 20th, it was the one after, what was I mentioned earlier? The Trapeset. Yes, sorry about that. Yeah, the video's titled the Trapeset. Please watch the video. We did it on the 16th of December. We date stamped it. We nailed the bottom for gold. We've nailed many tops, many bottoms, and it's been incredibly fun. But I'm telling you, I really, really hope, you know, that people are listening and really, truly, you know, are holding, you know, precious metals, assets, gold and silver, because when this thing goes, I promise you, the dealers are going to. You mentioned AppMex, right? I promise you, AppMex is going to close their internet site, okay? Absolutely. When gold explodes, they're going to close their internet site, okay? Yep. They're going to open it up probably several weeks or a month later when the price stabilizes at something stupid, you know, at 2, 3, 4 thousand, you know, something insane, some crazy price. And then, go ahead and buy the gold, okay? But by that time, you know, it's too late. Right. It's going to be something dramatic of that nature, and now is right now, you know, right now still the time to accumulate, because the prices are still incredibly cheap. You've had, you know, the people that are trying to keep the price down, you've had them do it for 5 years, smashing the price down for you. Now you got it on a fire sale. I sure hope you do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And plus, you know, there's so many other factors, man. Everything's going on with the East and all the wealth transfer to there. It's truly remarkable. And then the premiums are jumping. You know, I work very closely with my business partners that are out in Hong Kong, where we were dealing with you know, sovereigns as well as institutional investors. And one of the things we realized is that, you know, as soon as you start getting into the millions of dollars in gold, those premiums are jumping, man. They're jumping because it's getting harder and harder to get.
Yeah, that's what I've heard through some of my contacts. I've got, you know, several billion-dollar clients, and they're basically telling me that, you know, anytime they go into buy large sums, they have number one, difficulties getting the allocation for it. That's the first problem. Then the second problem that they have is they're usually paying $100 over spot just to get it.
Yeah. Oh, easily. I mean, premiums are jumping even 15-20% easily now. I mean, there was about a couple months ago, one of my partners, he did 110 metric tons of silver in 1 month. 110 metric tons. And we went back to the LBMA refiner. Hey, we need more. We got a couple more orders, because out of nowhere we started getting silver orders. And sure enough, the refiner, which is one of the big ones in the LBMA, one of the bigger ones, they didn't have any in stock. They literally had to go to the miners and wait on them. So there's a bottlenecks that are occurring. This is reality. So the average person who goes into Jimmy John's Coin and Carry, you can get an American Silver Eagle 1 ounce, you know, for, you know, $23. And saying, I don't know what V and Bo are talking about with the price. Everything is fine. You don't get it. You don't get it.
Exactly. Now go to that same dealer and say, okay, go to that dealer and say, I want $3 million worth of silver. Yeah. They're gonna look at you going, that's going to buy all of our silver. You might make a few phone calls. It might take a few weeks. So that's the reality of it. You know, whether it's 3 million magic number, whether it's 10 million, whatever it is, there's a magic number that'll.
Exactly. Or it could be like that guy in California. He had a coin store. People were giving him orders for 50,000, 100,000. He had no supplies. He just took the money and closed up shop.
Oh yeah. I was actually here in Newport Beach. Remember the guy?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I forget the guy's name, but I know he's been here for a long time. Then he just kind of then he went quiet. That was it. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people lost a lot of money with him. Yeah, exactly.
Jeez, unreal. Bo, thank you so much for being on, my man.
So, no, I appreciate it. Wonderful speaking with you. It was a really enjoyable and fun conversation. So really enjoy. I hope people really listen and get something from this.
Absolutely. And folks, once again, you can go on Bo's website and as well as his social media. You can follow him there. And with that being said, guys, we are Rogue Money. You can check us out at roguemoney.net, as well as our social media, which is at the Rogue Money on Twitter and the Rogue Money Facebook page. Also, the podcast, check it out on iTunes. If you have an Apple device or even an Android, on Pocket Cast, just type in Rogue Money. We will be there, and you can download this interview, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Bo's letter. With that being said, guys, we are over and we are out. Enjoy your weekends. Take it away, CJ.